Hello, and welcome to the Dark Mount video review for the Legacy Dragonzord. This review is going to be a little weird because I'm starting out in the Ultra mode, and then I'm going to go into the Mega mode, and then I'm just going to go to the normal Dragon mode. Mostly just because of the ease of combining stuff, and also just because this guy, especially if you include this thing, is humongous. And I'd rather just get the huge part out of the way now, so I'm not trying to battle with fitting this guy in my review space throughout the rest of the review. So yeah. This is him in his, I believe this is called the Mega Dragonzord, I believe, when it's not on the, Titanus, whatever his name is. I'm pretty sure that's what this is called. I usually go by the Japanese names anyway, so I can't ever really remember. But this is the combination with the Dragonzord and the normal, what they're calling now, I think the Dino Megazord, but just the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Megazord. I have him kind of holding his sword dagger style there in the back of his hand along with this thing, just because there's nowhere else to store it. And yeah, this guy looks kind of ridiculous. He's just amazing. I always wanted the Dragonzord when I was a kid, and I could never find him, and then by the time I did find him, I wasn't really into Power Rangers anymore, so I didn't get him. But, this is pretty much everything I would have wanted. He's amazing. And he's also amazingly screen accurate, which is always a huge plus. Right, so just for some size comparisons, again, bear with me because this guy is huge. Here he is with the Shogun Megazord. See, they're about the same height, actually. Here he is with Tokyo. Again, about the same height. Tokyo's a little shorter. And here he is next to Shinkano. So yeah, as you can see, this guy just looks fantastic and gigantic and beefy and ridiculous, and I love him. The end. Right, so just to give you guys a little bit of a frame of reference for just how big his spear weapon is. So here's the little dinky sword that the original Megazord came with, the Legacy Megazord. And here is the spear. It is humongous. It's just huge. I don't even know how to describe. It's like person-sized. Like, I would not feel crazy wielding this as a dagger in battle if it were real. That's how big it is. It's like approaching sword length for a person. This is like the length of a play sword that you might get for a kid at a toy store. Which is just nuts. It's absolutely nuts. Okay, so I've seen some people complaining about the bottom of this staff weapon because the 2 feet here on these sides are flat and touch the ground, and these 2 feet are kind of curved here and here, and they don't touch the ground. So, I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, so basically you get that, which obviously means that you can't just stand this up on its own. However, there is a reason for this, and I don't know why people don't get it. With the way this is held, which is this little back panel opens up and you pull out a little peg, and then that peg Hold on. That peg will slide into the hand of this giant behemoth. And as you can see, that allows it to kind of lean backwards and forwards, which also means that you can use it to help keep him straight. With all of this stuff on, he does tend to lean a little bit forward. Not a whole lot. I mean, this is where he should be, and that's where he leans. And it's just because of these giant die-cast feet. There's not really much you can do about it. But that right there is completely counterbalanced. Hopefully you'll be able to tell by putting this thing in there and letting it kind of sit. It will straighten him out completely. And it just serves as some support here, and that also means that it can lean kind of that way, or you can have him leaning it forward, kind of more of like a polearm kind of situation. And these two side feet will keep it stable going right and left, but it will give you the ability to kind of move it backwards and forwards as you see fit. So you can do kind of like a forward pose like that, and it is actually stable on all three of these feet. So there's very much a design reason that those feet are like that. So I don't know why people are so upset by that, or how many people are planning on like displaying this standing up on end on a shelf on this tiny little thing. I mean, that's kind of a dangerous way to display a fragile thing like this anyway. So I don't know who was planning on doing that, but there is a very good reason that they're designed that way. So it's not something to complain about, at least in my opinion. Okay, for the purposes of the rest of what I'm going to be talking about right now, I'm actually going to take these legs off, because we're going to be moving into the battle mode next anyway, and I'm going to be talking mostly about the torso up here, and I can't hold the camera and maneuver all of this stuff at the same time. So, yep, off come the legs. And this guy is heavy, man. Just this top part alone is like 5 pounds. It's nuts. So I have seen several reviews on this. Granted, I haven't watched every single review on YouTube or whatever, but I've seen like 4 or 5 different reviews of this with people complaining about this stuff not pegging in and not sitting straight and blah 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 blah. This is going to be one of those situations where I just have no idea what the hell people are talking about. They're either doing it wrong or their toys are defective or something, because this stuff clips in really securely, and it clips in like 8 different places, so I don't know if they're not pulling the tabs out of here or what's going on, but basically what you have is that you have on the back, you have the dino tail, which plugs into this thing right here. I'm going to pull these guns off so you can see a little better. So the dino tail plugs into this little black thing, and that little black thing clips into where the dino tail plugs in without the Zord stuff on there. You then have front and back clips right here on the shoulders that clip in on both sides here. Under here, if you then see, the way that these things clips into the same place that they do normally, but just the way that these are shaped and the way it kind of fits around that area, when it's plugged in, it holds these in place because of the shape here. And then you also have, which I just undid, 2 clips on the underside of here that actually clip around the base of the normal Megazord head. So that's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different, 9, 10 in the back. That's like somewhere between 8 and 10 different clip points that secure this stuff. So you can see even when I start taking it apart, it's still holding together pretty well. This part isn't clipped in all the way, because the back isn't attached and the front's not attached, so you're getting a little bit of lean there. But when you have everything done the right way and you do stuff in the proper order, it plugs in really well. So I really don't know what people are talking about there. So these clips, which I'm just going to unclip for now, and then the entire thing kind of clips over the head anyway. It's not really a hard clip, but it does kind of fit over these protruding back parts, and it kind of clips in under under the red part right there. So it secures it very, very solidly, in my opinion. Get all of these dragon body parts out of the way. So on the underside here, these are the two shoulder clips. You have to pull those out when you're going to be combining it, so push those back in. And then there is a clip on this side that you want to push in just for aesthetic reasons, but you want to pull that out when you're going to be combining it back up. And then, easy peasy, you just want to connect these two things, pull these away from the body. And here's one thing I'm a little confused about. For some reason these rotate. I have no idea why, because they don't actually need to do that for any of the combinations that I'm aware of. If anyone has any idea why these rotate, please let me know, because I'm just confused by that. That's just weird. But these will move on up in front of the robot and connect together. And you basically just want to keep these two legs exactly like they were. And then you want to pull back out the legs from the Megazord, pop those on. And then you want to grab off the Mammoth from the T-Rex, which is weirdly difficult sometimes. And just come around here, and that's going to slide in here. You'll see that there are kind of cutouts right here and there that these things are going to slide into. And then they're just going to swing around and connect like that. And then you can pop his little face down, which I did a little too much, so it looks fugly. I do wish they kind of had a stopping point in there for the face, because you can just kind of keep pushing that until it looks... Wow, you couldn't even see any of that. Awesome. This thing is too big. Yeah, so this face, you can just kind of keep pushing it for some reason. They didn't really put any kind of hard stop in there. So it's kind of up to you as to where you stop. But obviously it starts looking very silly after a while. And pardon my bird, he's just being obnoxious and I'm kind of done caring, so sorry he's making noises. Ugh. Yeah, sorry again that this review is so crazy, guys. It's just, this thing is just way too big to ever have a functional, good review of. It's just too big. And here you have the Dragonzord in his battle mode. And again, really, really awesome. They are knocking these Legacy figures out of the park. The dragon feet knees are a little big, but I mean, they were on the original too, and they are in the design, so that's not really their fault for replicating the on-screen design of the suit. But yeah, this guy's just fantastic. Obviously you can, if you so choose, give him the giant spear weapon. And then he looks even more ridiculous. And all of these stuffs, all of it, everything on here is like painted and molded. These aren't even just painted, there's actually like molded etching everywhere. These aren't just painted, they're actually like molded little risen up parts. So are these, there's like embossing almost. They did an amazing job with the paint and the decoration on this figure. Actually much better than they did on the Legacy Megazord. I was kind of upset when these were stickers when they showed up. I kind of like this stuff and these things. I really wanted that to be painted on. I thought it was when I ordered it, to be honest. So I'm really happy to see that they stepped up the game with this Dragonzord and everything is actually paint. And now we're going to go into the normal Dragonzord mode, and hopefully that will actually fit on my camera. Ah, actually, sorry. No. First, here he is with... I'm getting rid of this giant thing because it cannot fit in my review space. Here he is with Tokyo. And here he is with Shinkano. Alright, so you're going to want to pop the legs off. And pop the mammoth off. I'm sorry guys, I'm just gonna stop trying to redo parts of this review because every time I try to start, someone or something interrupts me. So this is gonna be a disjointed and loud and annoying review. Might be. Pull all the parts off, and then you will be left with this. You want to split these apart, and then you want to come over to this big thing, and you just want to pull the tail off of this dealie, and then pull the base off of that, which will allow you to collapse this in. One of those holes is utilized by the pegs on this thing, so do not try to collapse this while this is still plugged in because you will break something. Push that back in there, close that back up, and this is your dragon chest piece. So just come in here, split the body apart like that. Push this little face up while I'm at it. And you can just pop this in here and close it around that. It doesn't like specifically clip into anything, but it's pretty obvious to feel where it kind of sits. The arms are kind of folded up in here, so just pull them out. Obviously everything on here is pretty much just the original updated, so there's not really a lot of surprises. Again, these can bend, and I'm not really sure why. I don't know if you're like supposed to use that as articulation in this mode somehow or something. I really don't know. But they do clip on the sides like that, so there's that. And then this tail, if you can believe it, gets even longer because every single one of these things extends and becomes articulating. Which the original obviously did not do, it just had the articulated end part. Then you can pop this onto the butt, pose as you will, and there you have the Legacy Dragonzord in his Dragon Mode. In his Dragonzord mode, he is probably my favorite. I think I like this mode the most. Basically just because I have a couple tiny little nitpicks about the other modes, and I don't really have any nitpicks at all about this mode, so they're all good. But yeah, again, detailing on this is just fantastic. Everything looks fantastic. His back's filled in nicely. It looks pretty good from all angles. He's just an awesome dude. Here he is with the Legacy Megazord. And again, they're looking awesome together. Having him here with all this stuff painted makes me wish even more that stuff like this was molded and painted on this figure. I don't know why they went with stickers on this if they were going to do all the molding and detailing on this. I am at a loss on that. Tail. as you can see, this thing, you can get a lot of different poses out of it. They did a really good job. I mean, if you really want to, you can also like collapse it and get kind of more of a original MMPR look, but I don't know why you would want to do that when you have all these beautiful points of articulation. The hands will move up and down. That's about it. You can get leg movement, but because of the way the tail is, you really only get this, because these don't really want to move with this tail plugged in. He comes with 2 different hands that are kind of curved, have more like natural posed fingers. However, you cannot fold them up into the Zord with them, so I'm not planning on using that. Plus these are more screen accurate and more like to the original and all that, so appreciated, but not going to use these. Overall, I don't have a massive amount of complaints about this figure. I do have a couple. I really don't like the fact that the crest up here is rubber. It's the only thing, except the hands on this figure, that is rubber, and it just bugs me. I know they were probably doing it for breakability reasons and all that, but I really don't like soft plastic. I'll be right back. Right. So I don't like the fact that this crest up here is rubber. That bugs me. Doesn't bug me that much. It's just kind of like a pet peeve, I guess. The hands being rubber does not bug me, because you gotta keep prying and folding them into these things. And especially with these little sectioned off segments, if that was hard plastic, those would be probably relatively fragile. This right here, these bits, the legs, the leg transformation, I'm gonna pop the tail off just for ease of everything. The legs on this figure are what get me. They are my big complaint. These little doors that open up, here so that you can fold these leg parts in, they're just not very good. They're kind of floppy, they don't have anything going on, and more importantly, they get in the way of the actual leg a lot. Like when you're trying to bend it up, it'll get caught on stuff, and then it'll be like popping up and making snapping noises, and it's just bad. Nothing else on this figure even approaches bad, so I don't know what happened here. I don't know if they just couldn't figure out a better way to do that, so they just kind of gave up, but it feels like they just kind of gave up, I'm gonna be honest. Directions and pictures and stuff like seem like they want you to be able to fold this all the way up into the leg and then somehow close this again and have it stay, which I guess it kind of does sometimes, but you kind of feel like you're stressing this gray plastic a little bit sometimes, and sometimes it doesn't want to go in all the way. Like, you can get it to fold all the way in and then close. That's not really the problem. It's having them stay in that position and stay closed and look good, because you have to kind of angle this foot up a little bit, and the second you try to angle the foot up, you're not going to get those to stay. They're going to be flapping all over the place. The only time you can actually get it to behave that way is if you have the foot angled all the way down like that, which, depending on what mode you're going for, doesn't work, because you literally cannot plug things into the legs when these are like that. You have to have the feet angled up just for them to fit, and if you have the feet angled up, these won't close. And because these feet are die cast, they're very heavy, which means that these feet constantly want to keep falling back down, which is just kind of an irritation. I don't know why they didn't figure out a better way, like even just putting a small tab on here that these could clip into and just hold them in place or something. Like, there are so many engineering things that they could have done that would have been relatively simple and cheap, and they just didn't. And I don't know why. I don't know if that was a budget issue. I don't know if it was an engineering issue. I don't know if they're horrible and they hate us and they just don't care. I mean, I have no way to know. But it's just kind of a bother. And that's probably the main reason that I like this mode the most, is because this isn't a problem in this mode, whereas both of the other modes have it to a varying degree. It's not horrible in either mode, but it is a thing that exists. So basically, this figure's great. It's amazingly good through the lens of nostalgia, but just as a standalone figure that is a modern interpretation of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, it does a really superb job of being exactly what it sets out to be, which is a really screen accurate, really solid Legacy Dragonzord. And I've got to say, I'm happy with this and my Legacy Green-White Ranger Morpher. I'm happy. This stuff is cool. I'm not a huge Power Ranger dude. I mostly collect Transformers, but Mighty Morphin Power Rangers specifically was on when I was a kid, and I really liked it. The first 2 or 3 seasons. I can't remember if Turbo was 3 or 4, but whatever. Basically, up until Turbo, I watched Power Rangers, and I was a pretty big fan, so I'm digging all this Legacy stuff. I hope they start doing the Thunderzords and all that next. As far as I know, they haven't announced anything past Titanus. I'm probably not going to get Titanus just because it's huge, and I'm sure it's going to be really expensive, and I never much liked Titanus, so this is probably all the Legacy Megazord stuff I'm going to get until they go into a different season. And even then, I might not get any more, just because this is... the Megazord and the Dragonzord are really what I wanted, so... Yep. Again, guys, sorry about the hectic, ridiculous, constant interruption quality of this review. It just really was not something I could help, and sometimes my bird is just a D-bag, and that's life. But yeah, this guy's really cool. I do recommend him. Like I said, the legs, the rubberiness up here, and the fact that this tail is just huge. I don't know if you'd consider that a bad thing, but it's really huge. So depending on your shelf space, it might be a little difficult to get on a shelf. But you can always just take it off, and you could always store it in a different mode that uses the staff thing instead, which is also really huge. So I don't know how I'm gonna fit that on a shelf, actually, now that I think about it. Whatever. But yeah, this is a really cool guy. I recommend him. I think he's a good figure. I think they're knocking all the Legacy Legacy figures out of the park. And I really look forward to seeing what they do next. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for putting up with all of the silliness. And I will see you guys next time for hopefully a little bit more of a cohesive and normal review. Bye!